please?
Thanks.
Please and thank you. That's housekeeping. Let's get into the fishing news that I had brought up for us. And we are going to start with Asian Carp. Still invasive. That is not the name of the article. I just thought that was a fucking better title than the article.
Right. There's still a problem.
Yeah. So we've talked about carp before.
Yep.
We've talked about carp several times because I have a little bit of I think obsession is the wrong word, Tim. What would you call passion? No, passion isn't. I don't know. I don't like invasive species, and I don't have enough time to pay attention to them to be like angry or pissed off or active about it. But I just really don't like invasive species, and I like to make people aware of it. We have a platform.
You're an activist.
Am I an activist?
For you hate Asians.
You can't say that right now in this
in this
climate.
Just carbs. No, I know. Stop Asian hate unless it's against the carps. Because those fuckers are stupid.
They're really causing a lot of problems. And actually, we talked about it in episode 16. You can go over there and get some more info. But the reason why I wanted to bring this one to the table is Asian carps are still invasive. I went to outdoorlife.com, and the links will be in the description of the YouTube video if you want to go over to YouTube and look up Real AF TV with 2 E's. And what it really did is it brought up this Tennessee River carp. Now, I didn't look it up, but you've seen these carp that jump out and fucking slap people in the face, right?
Yes, I've seen that. And I see, I want to take part in some of the fun stuff that they do because they're invasive species, so nobody gives a shit.
You can pretty much do anything. Like, I've never seen any restriction.
Yeah, guys water skiing that are catching them with nets and stuff. There was one I saw, a guy had this a vest or a homemade vest that had hooks all over them, giant hooks. And they were just
a body armor vest?
Yeah, basically. And they were trying to catch these fish by just water skiing and having them fly out and basically stick to him. Just and it was working.
So when they're flying out of the water, the idea is that they just hit him in the chest and get stuck to the hooks?
Exactly. Yep. And there was
while he's being towed behind a boat.
Yeah. Yep. They were doing a bunch of them. There was one guy that had a fishing net, and he would just the water skiing, and they'd jump out and they'd have to catch him with the net. And one of the guys, dude, was using a sword to just cut him. And I'm like, you can't do that when you're water skiing. You make one mistake, you just impaled yourself in the dumbest way possible.
Yeah.
Just how'd you impale yourself? I thought it'd be a good idea to water ski with a samurai sword. Just like that.
That's such a horrible idea.
Oh my gosh.
Also, just cutting him up and throwing him back into the water is not doing any good. But
no. It's that part wasn't cool. You should be actually catching them. Yeah. That's why I was everything about it was stupid. You're just killing them to leave them float in the water, and maybe you're not even killing them. Maybe you're just maiming them bad.
Oh, right. If you don't actually cut through it, cut it in half or whatever.
Yeah.
Then, you just lopped off its tail, and now it's just going to keep fucking up the dirt anyway.
And now it's growing, healing back weird. So it's got a fungus issue. And now that one jumps out the water next time and hits somebody in the face. You're like, oh, that one was fucking gross.
So, do you want to describe what the fish are doing? Because they're not just jumping out of the water. How do I say this? This isn't angling for the fish and they're jumping out of the water because they have a hook in their mouth.
No, they get spooked easy. Mm-hmm. Is what the problem is with the Asian carp. They spook real easy. So that's when a boat is driving by. It's a lot like a deer in the woods.
Good one.
Yeah, when they hear a noise, they don't really recognize the direction it's coming from. They're not smart enough, and deer are smarter than Asian carp. So these Asian carp like just hear something in the general area of them and they freak out. So like a boat will be driving past and it just goes, "What the fuck is that?" And then it decides to go airborne because I guess it thinks that that's going to save it. And instead they're like
Yep.
smashing into stuff. But they're also just like carp in general, just root around and eat a lot of vegetation and stuff. And
Yeah.
they're kind of like not as bad as like lionfish, which is like a invasive species in the ocean.
On the East Coast.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Tony Young's dealing with those all the time. They have derbies down there all the time just to go out and snatch them.
Yeah, dude, I gotta get that guy on the taco because I really am passionate about getting these invasive species. Anyways, we'll actually get into that. I'll probably get into that a little bit in the second half.
I just want to say, like, they just eat
please.
way more than they should, and they're wreaking havoc, and they're not from around here, so they're taking away food sources and structure from other fish where they shouldn't be here. They should be gone. So
yeah, and actually, you know, we've brought on a decent amount of new listeners here in the last few episodes. So if this is your first episode, please go back to episode 16. We go into a lot of the details there. It was what's funny.
In my head, I was just like, "Go back to your own country. You're not welcome here."
No, that's a South Park joke, which was our last episode that we did. You can go over and check that out.
I was actually thinking more along the lines of Chappelle's.
Oh, Chappelle, that's Chappelle. Yeah.
Go back to your own country. White power.
That's right. As soon as you said no, I was actually thinking. I went, shit, that was a Chappelle joke. Oh, that was like the joke that made that show.
I saw what it was. I saw that again, and I forgot the lead up to it, the intro of it, where he says that, like, I showed it to one of my black friends, and he's like, "You just set black people back like 300 years."
And then he's just like, "So here it is."
Yep. So here it is.
Oh. Okay, back to carp. We're not going to do Dave Chappelle yet. That'll be a topic for later. Yep. As you guys, again, if this is your first episode, and thank you, you're welcome. Hopefully you made it through that joke. And if you're a kid who didn't understand early 2000s comedy, get on Netflix and fucking look up the Chappelle Show. I think they got a deal worked out where it's on there again. I haven't looked.
Yes.
But I'm pretty sure they worked out that deal. So that's what we were brought up on, and we're going over to Asian Carp again. Bringing it back. We've made so many half-baked jokes too. God damn it. Focus up, Josh. Focus up. So the Tennessee River, I don't know if that's where those videos were filmed, but it feels like that has sort of been the focus if you paid attention to like invasive carp at all. It seems like this Tennessee area. And it's it says, I might have wrote this down wrong. Fuck, I should have looked it up. But no, Kentucky and Barkley Lakes are on the Tennessee River. Those are the places where this shit is like going nuts. And one thing we didn't talk about in episode 16 is the carp are targeting plankton. So this is an Outdoor Life ad. Ad. Fucking not an ad. This is an Outdoor Life article. Again, I'll have the link in the YouTube comments. Jesus. Did I even fucking show up for this podcast, or am I just sitting over here fucking talking to myself? What the hell's going on?
It's okay, man.
Save me, Tim. Save me from myself.
My brain is not firing either. Like when you did the opening and you were like, it's the show about random takes from the land of 10,000 lakes. I was like, you supposed to say like random lakes or I was just like, I thought to myself, you were supposed to say random lakes. And then I was like, no, he wasn't. Why the fuck would you say random lakes? But then, like, I was having this inner monologue, and then all of a sudden I just snapped back to it, like, oh, hey, we're doing the show here.
It's my turn. Oh, I'm sorry, everybody, especially to you if you're a first time listener. We've been dealing with some sicknesses on our sides of either side of the mic, both of us. I am not down with the sickness, and I would like that last statement retracted. So I'm sorry, but here we go. Here we go. Shake it off. Shake it off. Shake it. You know, no? Okay.
T-Swizzle.
So the carp, they target plankton, and this is where it all comes around to your favorite fishing, shad. So
Oh,
the
yeah.
carp are targeting the plankton. The shad need the plankton.
Yes.
What eats the shad?
Bass. Bass
Them
loves
bass,
shad.
man. Exactly.
A lot of stuff eats shad, depending on the lake. Like the bass is a big one, but
Right.
yeah, like any of the predator fish will eat them, and pike and and walleyes, all sorts of stuff.
Right.
So
And that is like one of the bigger problems. So we talked about how the in episode 16 we talked about how the carp, they rut around and they cause, you know, they stir up a lot of dirt and stuff like this. But this was new to hear that they're targeting, you know, they're going after the plankton and then smaller, you know, the smaller fish that need that, like the ecosystem is used to, like the shad. They're not getting enough plankton, right? Because all the goddamn carp are eating it. And holy shit, here we go. You just go, wow, okay. Yep, that really hits. And not even, I want to say sport fisherman, right? That's what I wanted to say. I wanted to say, oh, that really hits a sport fisherman because, well, bass are a sport fish, right?
Yep.
So, but it hits all of them. It hits all the fish. It hits the walleyes, like you said. It hits the pike. I mean, it's just like, shit, man. When there's that many of them, that's a bitch.
Yeah, well, they call those, like shad are called bait fish for a reason.
Yeah.
And when you're eliminating the food source of the bait fish, eventually, like what are the fish going to eat? They're going to have to resort to like bugs and crayfish, and those are only going to last for so long because you can't, you know, bass can't just go and eat the carp. That doesn't work like that.
Right. Yeah. The carp are bigger than, like, the carp aren't edible to a bass. It's just not.
No.
They're big. They're big. They're bigger than the bass.
They're big. Yeah, they're big ass fish. Yeah, that's not cool. I don't know if they have walleye in Tennessee, but
yeah, I'm not sure what's in the Tennessee River either, but we know enough that, like, there's obviously bass down there, so the shad, and that's just the connection that I wanted to make there.
I know that they have Tennessee shad though, because that, like, there's quite a few lures that's a color where it's like really? Tennessee shad.
Oh.
Yep.
Shit. Okay. So they kind of have at least a special shade of shad down there.
Yep.
That's cool. Yeah. Shit. I had no idea. So the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Management, that's what their DNR is called, which the more and more that I get into this fishing thing, the more and more I'm like, damn, every state has a different name for their wildlife management system. It's crazy.
We'll have to do a deep dive in that and see if we can find one that's just like fucking out there.
I'll just look up all 50 states. It's like, oh man, that's a lot of research. Anyways, so they've been tracking the problem for over 10 years. So it's not that the carp have been a problem for 10 years. It's that is sort of when the tracking has really started, you know.
Yeah.
Like in the last 10 years, they've been paying real close attention. Probably because dudes are putting shit up on the internet where they're wearing flak jackets with hooks on it.
Right.
And they're like, oh shit, that's kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
Every time I look up a fishing GIF, there's always one of a dude getting hit in the face with a fucking carp as he's driving a boat. He's just driving a boat. And then
Yep. They're just driving a boat and boom. Yep. They get knocked out.
Just get fucking people get knocked out
because they're heavy fish.
Yeah, for real. So they've been tracking the problem for like 10 years, right? And obviously known that it's a problem, but they've been keeping a close eye on in the last 10 years. In 2018, they harvested, since 2018, sorry, they have harvested 10 million pounds of carp. Yes, I'll say that again. 10 million pounds since 2018. Dude.
What do you do with them?
Right?
That's so much.
Isn't that crazy to think
million.
about? It's 2020 right now. It's 2021 right now, and that was 2018.
Yeah. That's
3 years, dude. 10 million pounds. It's crazy to think about, and this is still a problem. That's the commercial fishermen of Tennessee are harvesting that much in 3 years. 10 million pounds in 3 years. And it's mostly fertilizer and pet food, which we kind of talked about in episode 16. Is like, you've always heard, I think you mentioned, right, that carp are mostly fertilizer. Like if you're going out fishing and you catch a carp, or if you go out and catch carp, you've always just heard, I don't know, it's good fertilizer.
Right. Yep. Yeah, that's what they encourage you to, use them.
Right.
And
Instead
they know
of,
people
like
don't
you
want
said about that one guy cutting in half. Like, don't just fucking cut it in half.
And they know people don't want to eat them, so they're like, I don't know, I can put them in your garden or whatever. Like,
right. Throw it in the ground. Let it decay.
That's such a big. I was trying to look. I just put in an average to try to figure out what the average is. And it goes, they're 4.4 to 31 pounds. Like, that's not an average. That's a giant spread. Like, do you guys know what average means? Also, I started laughing because I got in average weight of Asian, and then it auto-populated to woman. Like,
yeah, of course it did.
Who's Googling that?
Dude?
There's like,
what
hey,
is wrong? Why?
What's the average weight of an Asian woman? Like, what the fuck?
Who
cares?
Is looking that up? What is wrong with you?
Not like all women. Like, if you're talking slender, not much. That's good enough, right. Isn't it? You really need to know the amount,
right? Like, what is? Oh my! People, you spend too much fucking time on the internet. Hopefully, you're just spending a lot of time listening to fishing podcasts.
I was gonna do the math to try to get an idea of how many fish that was, but I'm gonna give up here now because I see another thing that says Asian carp as an adult. This brute can grow up to 4 feet in length and weigh over 100 pounds. I've never seen one that big. Could you imagine getting smacked in the face by one of those?
No.
It's like a small Asian woman flying out of the water at you.
Water.
It's like a small Asian woman flying out of the water at you. Oh, man.
What the hell, dude?
Dude, that would kill you probably.
Oh, 100%. But how? You've seen 100-pound catfish. How would that leave the water? How does a 7.5-pound carp leave the water though? At the same time,
they just get going, man. I don't know.
How
does a whale jump out of the water? Big fish can get airborne.
Good point. A whale's not a fish.
I know, that's true. Whale shark can't jump out of the water. I was gonna say whale shark, but then I immediately retracted that. Just like they don't.
But great whites breach all the time.
Oh, they get airborne.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. So, anyways, the wildlife management systems across the United States are trying different things, and I just wanted to point those out because they have these what they call bioacoustic fish fences.
Yes.
They call them BAFF.
BAF. Yeah, I know about it, man.
You know what a BAF is? Fucking hit me with it, dude.
It's like an electric fence almost.
Yeah. That's what it said.
Yeah, it's pretty dope. They're just like, we put up an electric fence for the carp and just bam.
You got BAF, motherfucker.
Yeah, what up, bitch?
Take this, BAF. Yeah. So it was crazy to read, but yeah, they have these fences up. They basically put up electric fences to try to keep them going from upstream to
Yeah.
try to keep them a little bit more contained,
And
kind of.
and they say it's so
As weird.
nice.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Well, like how you said it. It was just like, hey, it's a electrified acoustic fence or whatever. It sounds like
Yeah.
wholesome. And they're just like, no, we shock the shit out of them if they try to go upstream.
We fuck them up.
I saw some of those though, where the Asian
Yeah.
carp were clearing them.
Oh yeah, like it flat out said in the article. They're like, well, I mean, no deterrent is ever 100%. It's like there, I mean, there's going to be fish that figure it out. That's all there
Right.
is to it. We're just
Yeah.
doing our damnedest to try to keep it from being as explosive as it is in this, in the Kentucky or in the Tennessee River area, just because of the fact that it's such an explosion there that they're just trying anything they can to at least keep it contained, because if you can keep it contained and keep fishing it the way that they are, maybe
Yep.
there's a chance.
Yep.
Maybe there's a chance. And the fucked up thing, dude, is US Fish and Wildlife Services said the carp was brought here into farms in the 60s and 70s. Now, I actually watched this video on the Meat Eater YouTube channel.
Oh yeah.
The Meat Eater.
Yep.
Yeah. So on the Meat Eater YouTube channel, they did a thing about carps and eating carp and stuff like that, and they went way back. Like they had a history lesson on it, and I said, okay, that's cool, but I literally just looked up the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services, and it says they were brought here in the 60s and 70s to farm. And then that's where the catch was. These guys went all the way back to like 1800s, and like where people were eating them for food. Like they were here. People were eating them. And I was just like, okay, they're talking about carp in general. There was a very generalization, right?
Yeah.
So this U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services was tied to this Asian carp article, so they had to be talking specifically about the Asian carp.
Right. Yeah.
And saying they brought it to farms in the 60s and 70s, and it got loose, and now here we are in the 2020s, and it's fucking running crazy.
And I think technically all carp are invasive.
I don't think all carp are invasive.
I think they might be. I think the common carp, like we could check it out, but I don't think they're from here.
Okay. We're going to definitely do a full carp episode, because this shit has got me super, super intrigued. Like I said before, I was already interested in invasive species and things like that before this, but now here we are. So we got to do a carp episode, like a full on carp ep. Last thing I wanted to point out that this article said is the University of Missouri is working on studying egg movements. And I was like, holy shit, egg movement. That is crazy, dude. How do you study fish egg movement? Because think about it, they're river fish.
Yeah.
So if this shit can just roll through the water, just ride the currents. And it's like, oh, fuck. How do you trace that?
I don't know how river fish work, man. That's crazy. I was already thinking,
just think about, okay, so you've had
how they even fertilize. Like you just have like the eggs get fertilized, and then they're just like, whatever, hatch when you hatch.
Right. And then they float downstream and hatch. Like, I mean, so it's great. It's great work, because you have to. They said basically that the University of Missouri is like, yeah, I mean, you can do everything you can to stop the ones that are adults, but that's not how you contain a outbreak. You have to catch it before it's even born. Yeah. And that's why we're doing this research. And I was like, oh yeah, shit, good point, man. That's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. But like you said, like if it's, I don't even know. If it's just like they have their eggs and the eggs just wash down.
Right.
What do you do?
I don't know, but thankfully the University of Missouri is working on it. So I think we'll find out in a few years. I'll try to, this is a topic I actually care quite a bit about in like, I like to keep up with it for sure.
Yeah,
I think it's crazy. I love the thought of going down and fishing the shit out of them, even if it's with a vest with hooks on it,
right.
and like trying to figure out what to do with the fish once you have it. I don't know. I think it's fucking cool. So it's not going to be a topic I'm going to lose track of. I don't think in the future. So we'll definitely do our best to circle back on Missouri in a few
Yeah.
years because it'll be cool. I mean, it'll be cool to just find out what they find out,
Circle back?
figure out what they find out. Let's go into something a little bit more local here in Minnesota, the Quality Sunfish Initiative. I didn't write that, just so you know.
I
That's just a cool thing.
Quality Sunfish Initiative.
Yeah. I That's actually from the DNR. They have a Quality Sunfish Initiative. The Minnesota DNR does. It's a real thing.
Hmm.
Yeah. If you go to I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it's called it just is like sunfish. Like the DNR/sunfish. You're like, "Oh, okay." So, I guess the internet talks a lot. Who knew?
Right. Mm.
And the DNR has been paying attention, and they have been noticing that the internet says a lot about how sunnies are super small now. What is your experience with that, with panfish?
I
I
guess
know
it depends
you
on the
have a
lake
lake
you
that you primarily fish, but
Yeah.
just give me, because you fish a lot more than I do. What is your actual experience? Because this
I
is just the internet talking.
I catch some big ass sunfish still, man. I don't know, like maybe you're not using the right kinds of baits. Maybe you're fishing from shore and you're like, I remember catching bigger ones, and it's like, well, let's think about it this way. It's been a pretty hot summer. Hot summer means hotter water temperatures. Hot
Mm-hmm.
water temperatures means that the fish go deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Big sunfish are out in 15 feet of water, and that's why you're only catching small ones.
Right. Sure.
I caught a big ass sunfish just last week, and we were catching big ones off the dock and in deep water. And I catch
Mm.
big ones in other lakes. I
Mm-hmm.
do fish other lakes sometimes,
Yeah.
and it's like, I mean, maybe I'm not catching like monstrous tanks, so that's I don't know if like there's some people out there like we just don't catch 2 pounders anymore. I'm like, well, I've never caught a 2 pounder, so I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I mean, I don't do a lot of fishing, but I haven't necessarily had my like shortcomings when it comes to getting panfish and finding edible panfish. But you know, I there's not a lot of, well, I shouldn't say that. I don't know where the DNR is getting this, but obviously they're seeing it enough that they're hearing from Minnesotans that the sunnies are small, so they're trying to take action on that, and good on them. Like that's what the DNR is for. In March of 2021, nearly 100 lakes got new limits. The DNR wants anglers to participate in the conversation about adding 50 more to that list. So we're talking about from in March of this year, there were already 100 lakes that got their limits changed. And they're talking now about adding 50 more lakes to the list that would go in effect in March of 2022. So for the listeners who don't necessarily get why March would be the time that that would start in Minnesota, Tim, can you explain the reasoning behind that?
So they're saying that March is when
It's when
that
the new like law would go into effect, so to say, I guess,
I don't know if
because
that
our fishing fucking licenses expire at the end of February,
right. So
so
I'm
it's like the new
guessing,
year.
yeah. So I'm guessing that that's what it is. Is that
It
it's
has to
just
be,
like
right?
when the new fishing, yeah, because the sunfish spawn later than most of the other stuff. So sunfish spawn like l- mid to late May, I think, normally. So it's got to
Okay.
be just like that's when the new. regulations like would take effect,
Mm-hmm.
that they're like, panfish, like our license expire then, but
Mm-hmm.
there's no season on
Mm-hmm.
panfish. You can catch those whenever.
Right. Right.
So yeah, it's
Right.
just got to be like this is just when new laws take effect.
Yeah. That's totally what I think. And also ice, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the changing of the seasons for us
Hmm.
here in Minnesota too, right? Wouldn't you say that?
Yep. Yeah, that's like when you have to get your permanents off the lake and stuff. Like you can still go fish, but they're like no axle houses or wheel houses is what they call them,
Mm-hmm.
where they're,
Yep.
like the permanent structure where you have to pull it out in the truck because they're like, any day now, the shit could, like the sun could come out and then you're fucked. Because what you don't have to worry about, if you guys don't know about the
Fuck.
ice, is like you don't have to worry about the ice melting right away. What you have to worry about is that the ice melts around the edge of the lake first. And
Mm-hmm.
then all of a sudden there's not solid ice for you to drive out because there's not ice out there. And now you're trying to
Mm-hmm.
pull your wheelhouse out, and depending on how
And there's
fast
just
that lake,
open water
yeah, and depending
between
on
you and
how
the
fast,
land.
right, and depending on how fast that lake drops off,
Right.
now all of a sudden you got like 4 feet of water you're trying to drive out of, and it's like that's not gonna fucking work. It's gonna go
Right.
poorly.
It's not going to work out for you, just so
Yep.
you know.
And then that's more shit that the DNR has to deal with. They're like, God damn it. So they eventually got to a point where they're just like, hey, everybody get your ice houses off the ice. It's a law
Get your
now.
shit off before it
Get
fucking
out
goes
of
away.
here, you idiots. They're like, this is still like 2 feet of ice. Not around the outside, stupid. Get off the ice.
Get out of here. There were some new crappie limits that went into effect too. And I know you've been catching crappies if you follow us. Look up Real AF TV on Instagram.
Yeah.
There are pictures of you hitting the crappies. So
Yep.
you've been hitting the crappies good. You've been getting good eaters and stuff like that. Did
Big
you
ass
get
crappies.
affected by this limit change at all?
Nah, they changed the limit a while ago to where it was like it used to be 15 and then it went down to 10. And I don't know what it is now, but we never keep that many. There'll be like 3 of us in a boat, and we're never in the like realm of like 30 fish. Just because, like it's just not that hot and heavy normally. Like maybe, but like that's 30 is a lot.
I was going to say, do you even need 30 fish to feed like the people that you're catching fish with? Like
if you're catching good ones, that's 60 fillets, and you're talking like 60 pieces of meat that are like, if you're catching good sized crappies, like that's 50.
Yeah, you're
or
talking
60.
like,
if you caught your limit with 3 people, you're talking 60 fillets that are like I don't know, a piece of meat that's like the size of a deck of cards on each one of them.
Right.
It was like nobody needs that.
No,
I mean, unless you're trying to have it, it depends on how many people you're trying to feed. But one person, like a limit per person, is far more fish than that person would need. You know what I'm saying? Like,
for sure.
I'm not eating 20 fillets by myself. That's crazy.
Right. And if you're the kind of fisher who is out there catching so much fish, so many crappies, you're out there trying to catch your daily limit because you're like freezing them in the freezer or something like that, please, you should contact us. That's RealAFTV/contact.
Also, that's not technically illegal.
Whoa.
You're not supposed to, like, you can catch
wait a minute.
Like, if you caught your limit,
is it because possession?
Yes, right.
Your freezer is part of your possession, isn't it?
Yes.
Fuck me. See, this is why you're the fisherman.
But that's where it like gets.
Why we got you.
That's where it gets a little bit tricky sometimes. Because I like at the cabin, like if a DNR person came over and they're like, "You have like 6 limits in here," and I'm like, "Yeah," because normally it's me, my wife, my mom, my dad, my nephew. Like it's just
like we're all eating fish.
We're all here. We can have that many limits because that's how many people we had catching the fish then.
Right.
But then you got like some single loner. It's just like, oh yeah, I got. You
Yep.
know, whatever. I
Got
got
60 fillets in my freezer, and it's just like, no, you're just one dude.
I got 3 cats, man. They help me. They,
They got fishing lessons too. Yeah.
they don't
No,
need
I
fishing
would like
license
to.
because they're under 16. It's okay.
That's awesome. If anybody has any like different experiences with that, I would love to hear it. Seriously, hit us up. reelaf.tv/contact. You can just send it in through there. I'd like to hear from you and hear more, but I'm just going like, yeah, you can probably change the crappie limit to 10. We'll be fine. But that also brings me to this part of it is you said you went to 10, but now they're talking about going down to 5. So they want to get the lakes with potential to go to 5 or 10. So you were probably already part of that, but as low as 5. And it could be up to, and they're trying to, this is what the Quality Sunfish Initiative has forecast for its future, is they want to get up to 200 lakes on this program by 2032. Fuck, did I write that down wrong too? I got to relook that up. Please, Tim, fill time with the 5 to 10 bag limit while I double check my
Well, I'd be okay with I'm fine with it. Like if you want to go from 10 to 5, that's not that big of a deal to me. Like
okay.
When it is a little bit weird that, years ago 3 of us could catch 15 a person. Now 3 of us is 15 is the full limit for all 3 of us.
Is the full limit. Good point.
But also, like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, if I want to eat some fish, me personally, I kind of enjoy the idea of just being like, you can only have this many of this kind of fish. And then I catch that limit and then I go, well, on to the next kind of fish.
Yeah.
Like I caught my crappie limit. Now it's time to go catch the walleyes or whatever.
Right.
Whichever way I want to go. But you can catch your limit on walleyes, and fuck, you don't even need any of the other fish.
If I you have enough food if you catch your walleye limit.
If I can catch 5 walleye, boom. If you
get a week or more worth of food.
That's crazy though to think about. That walleye and panfish
and sunnies could be on the same level.
Yeah. That's
holy
weird.
Shit, dude. That is really weird to think about. Yes, okay, we covet the walleye here in Minnesota, but shit.
Sunnies are so much easier to catch than walleyes.
Well, and from everything that I know, and we'll have to do full episodes on this. We'll be doing a full episode on sunfish too. They're faster at breeding. Like you get more sunnies per season per. Fuck, I can't think of the name right now, Tim.
Spawn.
Bail me out. Spawn, thank you. You get more sunnies per spawn than you do walleye.
Yeah.
I could be talking out of my ass right now, but it seems like that's the case.
Well, I think there's a better chance of them. I think there's just more sunfish in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just greater numbers already. So when you spawn, there's more of them spawning.
There's just more of them. Yeah, sure. Yeah. And this is all about increasing size. I mean, when I read about it, it was just like basically like, hey, the sunfish are getting small, so we want to get them bigger. How we do that? Oh, we'll just put limits down to think about. And it is, they want to get 200 lakes by 2023. So that's I mean, if you think about it, that's next year already because we're going into the winter season here of 2020. We're in the back half of the 2021 fishing season already.
Yep.
And they're talking about putting 200 lakes on the 5 to 10 daily bag limit for sunnies. And it's like, holy shit. When you put that comparison against a walleye, man, that was nuts. Like I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Well, when you think about it, like, I've never heard of them ever stocking anything besides like walleyes and muskies and
Oh.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose, goddamn motherfucking fruit fly, buzzing around my fucking shit.
Tim
Fucking
is now
pissing me
distracted
off.
by a fruit fly. He
Is
is
one
swinging
fruit fly
into
that
the
keeps
air.
buzzing my goddamn head, and then landed on my microphone.
It's gonna
Piece
hit the
of
mute button
shit.
on you in the
Oh,
middle of a very compelling conversation.
I don't know what that was, but yeah, no, it's like I've never heard of them stocking them. So I guess if you
Sure.
kind of like
Sure.
catch too many of them, I don't think there's anything set up for them to stock. You know, like
Sure.
walleyes they have like their little farm or whatever where they're, you know, breeding them to make it so they can stock your lake or whatever. So that's where you get all your fingerlings and stuff. They're like
Mm-hmm.
literally hatching these in a, I don't know what the fuck you call
A
them.
farm. Just
Yeah, a farm,
yeah.
fish farm.
Sure.
And
Fish
yeah.
farm. And then they let him go. Sure.
Yep. But I've never heard
Yeah.
of them stock any sunfish. I mean, like, I suppose on different ponds or whatever when you just get started out, but they don't
Mm-hmm.
stock your lake that's already established. But they
Right.
will with like walleyes and muskies.
Right. Yeah. No, that's a really good point. So, hey, if you're out there and you're from Minnesota and you want to get in on the conversation, there will be a link in the YouTube description. And if you're listening to this on Spotify or Google Play or iTunes or something like that, just go over to YouTube quick and you can look us up, Real AF TV, Real with 2 E's, and you can find the link and it'll shoot you over to the DNR site. And there's an online survey. They also encourage you to go to a fisheries office or, talk to a DNR officer about this situation. They're seriously asking for people to comment and try to figure out, do we need these 50 more lakes? Do we need to be up to 200 lakes by 2023? It's like a real discussion. The DNR is actually asking for it. So just encourage you to go and if you are from Minnesota, look it up if you care about this. And we'll have the link for you because what's 150, 200 lakes out of 10,000? Right. Restrict them. You guys need bigger fish? Fucking let them do it.
Yep. I don't mind it at all. If they think that it'll help, then that's what I'm down with. Let's do it.
Yeah. But if you have an opposing idea, please look us up, REELAF TV on all the social medias and stuff like that. We are down to talk about it because I am very curious about why you wouldn't. What is the problem? Because right now we don't see it. And maybe that's a privileged standpoint where we're just like, well, we don't have to catch 10 fish a day to eat. I like culvers just fine.
Right.
All right, man. Let's get into the random take where we're going to talk about just crazy shit the internet has fed us. That's it. That's the best setup I got. We're just going to talk about crazy shit the internet fed us. Coming up next in the random take.
This crazy train.